Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 19 of the podcast, and we're here and we are ready to get back into the thick of the action. How are you guys doing? First off, thank you to all of the new subscribers. We hope you enjoy the content we've got on the stack. I'm here with Shady Armic. Yo. And Shady, I want to really just zip us things. There's so much to cover. I'm just going to zip right into this episode because otherwise it's going to be several hours long. I want to start off with something before we go on to our Playstack this week, because you've got a PlayStation VR2. You've bought it in 2025.
Yep.
And, you know, for all of the constant months of trying to get you onto a MetaQuest 3, you ended up with the PSVR2. So I'm really interested to hear how this stacks up in 2025.
So just I gave the MetaQuest 3 a fair, investigation. I think what it boiled down to for me was a couple of things. So on the pro side, I love the fact that it was untethered. I love the library. The look of the library was good. But then when I weighed it up, I was like, well, the PSVR is definitely more powerful because obviously it's drawing from the console GPU. And then I got thinking about that. I was like, well, hang on a second. I've got a PS5 Pro now. So that GPU should be performing a lot better with the VR. So I did a bit of digging down that rabbit hole, and people have confirmed that certain games are actually utilizing that extra GPU power.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, okay, so that's even better. The second thing that really made me go in this direction was the fact that the PSVR 2 has OLED screens. And once you go OLED, it's very hard going back. Very hard going back. So, when you're in pitch black in a VR game, it's pitch black. You don't see a damn thing. So that immersion is next level. Third thing, I liked the build quality. I did, for those that don't know, I did buy one in 2023, but return it because there wasn't much going on with it in terms of the game library. I did love the build quality. It looked and felt as great as any other PS5 accessory. It blends in with everything. It's solid, But the thing that tipped me over the edge really was, well, what's the game library like in 2025? Is there more that's come out? And when I looked at it, I was like, this list, this website just isn't ending. There's over 100 games now. And what I like as well is that they're not, the majority of what I saw on the Quest store was a lot of shovelware. A lot of people dipping their kind of developer experience hats into the ring, if that makes sense. Just, let me sell something for $1.99 and see if I can get people to buy it type stuff.
Oh, they've really opened what used to be only accessible in if you side-loaded your Quest headset. And now they've opened it up, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah, it's become the Nintendo Switch of eShops when it comes to VR. So it was a combination of that. And so got it, got like 4 or 5 games or something on day one, set it up, and again, pleasantly surprised. I mean, if you remember the first PSVR, God, the cabling on that thing, you need a breakout box, 3 HDMIs in and out.
Oh, it was awful. It was one of the main reasons why I ended up getting rid of it. So is it a lot more tidier now?
Single cable.
Okay.
Single USB-C cable straight to the front of your console. Nice to wrap up. The headset, what I like about it is it's crown-based, right? So it sits kind of on your forehead and around your back. It doesn't have that middle strap that kind of... Yeah, so you can actually go out afterwards without having to fix your hair or whatever,
Fix your cranium, yeah.
Fix your cranium, yeah, because it's so tight. The VR sensors, the controls, they're great. They work perfectly. Gran Turismo 7, though. Oh, my God. That is probably one of the most realistic games I've ever played in VR. I heard about the VR mode. I saw Digital Foundry's take on it, and they all got moist over the description. But I honestly think there should have been a lot more noise made about this. My God, does that feel real?
The question is now: are you going to go full on, get the steering wheel, the sit down experience, the chair and stuff?
I do have a group chat with a couple of car friends, and they've all gone down that route. They've gotten PCs, Corsetto Racing with Logitech GX 9 somethings, I forgot what it is. They've all gone down that route. I'm thinking about it. I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm that mad. I say that as I'm wearing a freaking BMW hat, but I don't know if I'm that mad yet. But so I played a bit of GT7, Arizona Sunshine. Had my eye on this one ever since it was announced, and this is the first time I think I've played a VR game, a shooting VR game, that was a little more than just an arena-based or rail-based shooter. This is actually an FPS, a full FPS, traversing a map, going up ladders, down ladders. You're doing a lot. It's not just you're in little arenas, things fly at you and you got to shoot them. There's like, oh, this door's locked, let me go and find a key. It treats you as if you're playing a fully fledged FPS game.
Yeah.
What I've heard, it's about 3 to 4 hours long, because it's not that long. But what I've noticed is that I'm playing this game a bit differently how I would a normal FPS. I'm exploring every nook and cranny because there's just so much more to the world now. You're in that mode, that view. I'm still coming across certain things, like little physics things that I just love. I pick up a can and I throw it, and the way it just kind of knocks down on a door or the floor or something like that. Obviously, the kills and the zombies are great fun. The weapons, I mean, realistic as hell. You got to grab, you got your gun, first we've got to eject the clip. So you hit the X button, it ejects. Grab a thing from your holster, got a magazine, put it in, and then you got to rack it. So you got to do all of that in real time as you're fighting zombies. It gets frantic as hell when you've got an AK-47 that's behind your back. You got to undo it, and you got to do all this, and they're all. Yeah. It really adds another level of intensity to it. So, just those two games alone, among some others, I'm very happy and very surprised with it. To be honest, it's gotten a lot better.
I'll tell you what would be nice, and I don't know whether Sony's ever actually going to do it, or whether it's even architecturally possible. But one of the things I loved about the Quest 3 was the fact that previous Quest games would work. You'd either be able to play it, and then some update their titles for free with graphics upgrades. Yeah. It would be nice. I'd even be tempted to get a PSVR2 if they could somehow make their back catalogue from the PSVR 1 playable, you know?
I said the same thing, because you can still see all the PSVR 1 games on the store, and they're labelled. You can buy them even. And I'm like, why would you want to buy this on a PS5 store? It makes no sense. So I really hope so too, because there's one game in particular, London Heist. My God, that one for me that's the game that I first played on the first PSVR. I think it was in Tobacco Dock, one of the EGX Res shows, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2016 or 17.
Is that the one where you're out on the motorway at one point and you're shooting outside the car and all?
That one was intense. They actually, side story, they turned that into a fully fledged game, a single title.
Oh, did they?
Yep, but by that time I'd sold the PS4 and the VR as well, so missed it completely. But yeah, I'd love that. I can only imagine there will be some development work. It's more a case of calibrating, making sure it works with the new hardware, all the coordinates still behave as it intended. Yeah. I'd be honestly happy even if they just port it rather than an upgrade. Just get it working, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, seal of approval in 2025 then, would you say?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I'd like to see a bit more, if I'm honest. Again, the one that's missing for me is Half-Life Alyx. That's the crown jewel of VR right now. But was that one game enough to push me in the direction of a Meta Quest 3? Not right now. I'm all about that fidelity, you know. Yeah. PS5 Pro.
You also had test drived the Apple Vision Pro, so my eyes haven't seen that level, and perhaps my eyes shouldn't see that level because I'm quite happy with what I've got. So I want to see that next? Do I want to see that next level of fidelity before the Meta Quest 4 comes out?
Well,
probably not.
With the PSVR or the Apple?
Well, Apple to me, until they make a serious jaunt into the gaming side, the Vision thing's just not even. So doesn't even interest me.
Right. Well, let me just make this very
simple. PSVR2 perhaps. But.
So Apple Vision Pro, it's the best of all of it. It's unparalleled levels of realism, and that was a tech piece of hardware. That was for developers to show, okay, this is what we want you to do. Here's the hardware for it. So in a few years, when we make the cheaper version, you're all good to go. That's really what that was. But my God, the lady was kind of guiding me through it. She's like, all right, twist the digital crown on your thing now. I'm seeing everyone around me. And she goes, twist it, from back to front. And then all of a sudden, like, this world just goes whoosh, like in a panoramic fashion. Like, it just, in a circuit, I was insane. I was looking for flaws. That's how I am. I'm looking for, like, cracked seams, like, where the graphic breaks. Nothing. And it's the clearest screen of all. No screen dooring, just incredible. And I, for some reason, bust out Safari browser while I'm in a volcano, you know, just start typing and, and doing whatever. So, but PSVR2, you will probably notice a bit of an upgrade. If you've got a Meta Quest 3, I dare say it probably wouldn't be enough to push you over the edge, spending, you know, 500 plus games.
Yeah.
I definitely say try it, especially with Arizona Sunshine and Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah.
There's some good fun there. One thing I'm a bit surprised with actually is I couldn't get YouTube VR videos working on it. I don't know if it's not supported or not. Because I know when you put your phone sideways in Google Glasses, there's a little glasses button you push and it splits it into two, one for each eye. Couldn't see that option.
Yeah.
Which I think is a massive miss if that's the case.
That is a bit strange because even I was saying to you about a couple of the more social apps that you can get on the Quest. They're just simply, they're not on. PlayStation must have Rec Room at least. I mean, it's too young an audience for us, but you know.
PSVR 1 had Rec Room. I had it.
Yeah.
I don't recall. I'd have to check. I don't know if it's on the second one though. But no, I agree. A little bit more social element. It looks like it's a very curated store. They've clearly got the reins on the store very tight. They're only letting in quality, dedicated. I guess they don't want what's happened to MetaQuest to happen to PSVR. But I think there's a balance of in between the two. You know, I don't want everything on there. But, you know, if I'm happy to spend $1 or $2 on some BS that makes me laugh for 10 minutes, then I should be able to do that. Just keep it in a different section, maybe. Put a filter on it, like, not finished. You know how Xbox has got a little preview label? Yeah. Something that doesn't have that seal of approval, the quality seal of approval.
Well, there you go. The seal of approval in 2025. And... I don't know. I'd like to play some of the game. It's a shame you can't. Well, I think that you can. I think there's some stores where you can rent these things, technically. But obviously, getting demos, you just don't find stores with demos for stuff like that anymore. So
retail's dead. We don't have it anymore. I honestly think this is a really bad thing. But the best thing you're probably better off doing is just ordering from Amazon, trying it out for a day or two, and then sending it back saying it don't work. And you know, you'll get your refund. But at least that way you've tried it. But I think. Not to dwell on this too much longer, there are a couple of features I think really do fly under the radar. And having kind of gone all in on the PlayStation, platform this generation, especially of recent, one of the things that really stands out to me are the haptic feedbacks on the pad. They've got the haptic feedback in the headset as well.
Oh, have they really?
Yes. So I'm playing a game like, I don't know if you know Thumper, that sort of you're a bug on that rail.
Yeah.
So I'm playing, I'm playing Thumper, and my head is going, it's getting knocked, like right on my forehead. And it's pretty powerful as well.
Yeah.
So you're getting haptics there. You got haptics in both, controllers as well. Yeah. And I think there's a speaker in the headset as well, so it brings that sound closer to you. No, there isn't because you've got the headphones. No, it's got a microphone. Sorry. So if you're playing online, then it'll pick up the audio. But it really takes you into another world there.
Yeah. Nice. Well, there we go. That is our thoughts on the PSVR2. Shall we move on to the Playstack?
Indeed.
The remainder of the Playstack. I've got to ask. Interesting, because I saw that you were also playing the Order 1886, and I've got to take some umbrage with this game, by the way, because I was watching footage prior to us recording.
Yeah.
And because I've not played it, so I watch it, and it's almost like 18 minutes before you even fire a gun. It is full of cutscenes. 18 minutes before you can run.
Yep.
And the game, you can play it and complete it in 4.5 hours. So I went back and I checked the retail price when this game released, and it was 55 quid for 4.5 hours worth of, unless you're going to rinse the trophies out of that game 100%. They fleece people when this game come out.
They didn't fleece me because I paid like 12 for it.
You paid 12? Well, that's more reasonable, but it just made me think about how was it? Because I was like 18 minutes in, I was already getting to that point watching the footage going, this is like, when's the walking simulator going to end on this thing?
Yeah. There are a lot of cutscenes, yes. And there are parts of the game where the cutscenes outweigh the actual gameplay. But then you do get those breaks the kind of clouds part and you do get that ray of sunshine where it's like, okay, I can play for a bit. It's a great game. The story's great. I did look into it afterwards, and apparently Santa Monica did pose a sequel, but it got shut down. So I would have loved to have seen the sequel. The story's great. It's best depiction of sort of Victorian, Edwardian London I've ever seen. Climbing rooftops, Trafalgar Square, Whitechapel.
Even better than Syndicate?
Oh, I would say so, just from the level of detail. Syndicate is more vast. It covers more grounds. This is more detail. I felt there was more London in this than Syndicate. However, if you want a modern day London, then that would be Watch Dogs. I forgot the name of it. Yeah. That's sort of more of a modern day one. It's a good game. It's very Gears of War like. It's a cover shooter.
Oh, it's got. So is this running on UE3?
I think UE4.
Because it had the muddiness of the older UE engine.
I think UE4.
Or at least what I saw from the footage.
No, I'm actually surprised this is a PS4 game. It looked bloody good. Really good. I don't know how the YouTube quality was on the video you watched, but playing it looked fantastic.
It looked half decent, but I wonder if did it have the PSSR injection in it? Do you know? Or
I don't think it did, because I didn't see any shimmering, and that's the telltale sign.
Okay.
No, it looked like it was running purely back compat, if I'm honest. Yeah. It was a 30 FPS game. But this game is so slow paced that it didn't feel like it was at a detriment, if that makes sense. Combat's great. Again, the story's great. It's one of those games, if you walk into it knowing that you've paid $12 for it, then you're definitely going to get your $12 worth. If
exactly.
Paid $55, $60, $70 for it, then you deserve to be run over by a Victorian style car.
Different kettle of fish,
Yeah, so I had fun with that. Rinsed all the trophies, 100%.
Nice.
Platinum, I should say. I've got used to saying that now.
There you go. Let's talk briefly about No Man's Sky, because we managed to play a bit of it together. Yeah. And I regret there's so many customization options at the start of this game. And I remember when we set it up, it was, do you want to do the missions that essentially give you tutorial aspects of the game? And that's where I think we were still in that beginning moment of the game, which is, there's so much to learn. I don't think we've seen the interesting missions part of this game yet. I think we've just gone through and seen 12, 15 pack updates that they've done, whereby to get immersed into everything, they've had to put these bits in at the start. I'm not sure. It's an odd one, because I don't know how many hours you have to play this before you get to the interesting missions. I'm not even sure myself, but is that where I'm kind of want to go back to it, but it's kind of a weird one, because I don't know how long we'll be grinding on this boring start to the game, which I assume is optional.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We talk about it very regularly about how Hello Games just keep releasing update after update, and that's fine and everything, but we've just been on an endless fetch quest. Your ship's broken, all right, and grab this. Oh, you can't do anything with that yet. You need to mix it with something else. Go grab that. All right, now I've got that. Now you need to get the machine. Go and grab that. Oh, for God's sake. Like, you just want to fix this ship. You spend 2 hours doing it. You finally fix the ship. You go into space. All right, surely that's got to be it now. I'm taking off. Well, that's short-lived, because 60 seconds later, you're landing on another planet doing it all again. Oh, you run out of fuel. You've got to go here. There's a distress beacon. You go there. Oh, I need some herbs. Someone's sick. Oh, for God's sake. It's just an endless sequence of fetch quests. And I feel like I owe it to try and push through it to see if it really does get better. And I probably will, because it's VR compatible as well.
So you can tamper down a whole bunch of those settings as well. So if you wanted to, you could basically switch off having, refuel requirements and all of this other stuff. And I wonder if it just makes it a better game, but just taking some of that resource management out of it.
Here's where I'm torn, though, because I really hate when games do that. It's like, you're making the game. You know how this is going to be played, or how you want this to be played. Don't give me the option to, dampen the experience. If it's supposed to be this, then damn it, let it be that. Okay, you take all of that out, then what am I going to be doing? Fetch quests that are simpler? I don't know. Like, it doesn't sound appealing. But again, maybe I'm completely missing the mark. And I think for me, where I said, okay, this is enough, is when we started building huts. I said, for God's sake, I don't like Minecraft. I've never liked Minecraft or Roblox. This is not me. Yeah,
well, at least they had a bit more purpose than Starfield, I guess. But
we'll talk about this when we get to Avowed. But it's funny you bring Starfield up.
Yeah, okie dokie. What else is on your list? You got, I don't know what Switchback is. What is Switchback?
So on PSVR1, there was a roller coaster horror game. You're sitting in the typical sort of mine cart and everything's flying at you and you're shooting.
Was that the Until Dawn VR experience?
Yeah. And I thought it was just more of that.
Right.
And oh my God, this thing is satanic AF. I've got a friend who's into Satanism, so I know a bit more than I probably should because he's always on about it. And so I'm playing this game and I see bloody. I'm not just talking like pentagrams. I'm talking like actual like symbols that unless you know about satanic history, you won't know.
Yeah.
They're everywhere in this game, and I'm just sitting there like, oh, this is weird, like in a not good way. And then they're using real names of certain demons and stuff. I'm like, okay, this is like, and this is in VR as well. And so I'm trying to hold it down. I'm a man, you know what I mean? I'm trying to hold it down. It's great shooting, great physics. My God, this takes that fear factor to a whole nother level. And it actually was living rent-free in my head for probably a good 24 hours afterwards. Like I was like, some of the stuff I saw in that game, I'm just like, oh my God, this is a bit much. And I don't get put off with anything. That even I was like, man, this is too much. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll revisit that one. I probably will to get my money's worth, but that was
I feel like you need an exorcism. Yeah?
That's a messed up game, man. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
And what you had Tintin Cigars of the Reporter. What the hell is that?
So as a kid, I was a Tintin fan. I don't know if you know the comics or the cartoon.
There was a great Tintin PS3 game.
Yeah.
In the PS3 era.
Yeah, I finished that one as well. So it was an old cartoon, an old Belgian sort of cartoon / comic. Me and my brother were really into it as kids, and I don't know, somewhere in the early 2000s, they decided to pick it up and make a show and a couple of games. And so I saw this. It's made in Unreal Engine 5. I knew it wasn't going to be anything special, but it's just a nice, family-friendly, glossy game, really. And I'm getting out of it, I suppose, what I put in. It's a little adventure game that you walk around, solve mysteries, take photographs, and it's exactly what it says on the tin.
Nice.
One of my little weird pleasures.
There you go. Well, I've been playing an array of games too. So where do you want me to start? Have a look at my list because there's a bunch in there.
So you got some funny ones. So No Man's Sky we talked about. Just die already. I mean,
we both played a bit of that, didn't we?
Yeah. Forgot about that. Kill It With Fire. Yeah, that one's pretty bad. Mass Effect is a good conversation piece.
Yeah.
How much did you play? And did you play the first one or?
So I played Mass Effect 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a couple of hours of it thus far.
What did you think?
Well, I remember playing Mass Effect back on the 360, and I got to the bit where you're at what looks like the train station, and you have to defuse the bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of what I would call the first proper main mission or chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get past it, and I don't know why. Maybe I've just got better at games since or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just immediately off the bat, I was like, you know what? How was Mass Effect? And I knew, even from playing Mass Effect last time, when you look at these opportunities that Bethesda had with Starfield, look, at least throw some aliens in there, proper aliens in there. And I played a default Commander Shepard character, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Bog standard.
That's what you're supposed to do.
And there's just like right at the beginning of the game, there's this scientist who's a bit off his rocker, and you got that choice just to knock him out, like just slap him and knock him out.
You just want to shut up.
It plays. I'm surprised how sturdy it plays today.
Mm-hmm.
Graphically, it's obviously on the Legendary Edition, so it's obviously had a bit of a polish graphical upgrade.
Still looks a bit dated though, even in the Legendary.
Oh yeah, there's still a little bit of datedness to it. I thought the gun handling was, acceptable. It's okay, it's acceptable, it's playable. But I thought the plot line, what I've played so far is what's really kind of I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah.
And how things progress, and I think that's what's gonna really take me through the rest of that.
I definitely say keep pushing with that game because it does feel and look old in certain places, and some of the mechanics are a bit weird. But if you can hold off until you get to 2, because 2's the pinnacle, you're gonna really like, oh my god, I get it now why people are going nuts over this game. 3.
What game is it that you get to have sex with the blue alien?
That's the second one, I believe.
Oh, is it the second one? Okay. I mean, there's no reason why I decided to stumble on that point, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's not just a blue alien. You got your choice. You can go for Garrus if you're interested.
Yeah.
yeah. Garrus or Jack or any of the others
right.
who have the ambition as well. What I liked about Mass Effect is each game there was a clear distinction. So, have you gotten to the Citadel yet in the first one?
The Citadel.
Sort of the main area, like the big sort of skyscrapery type thing.
Yeah, I think that was where I think that's
it's like the hub. It's like a main hub area.
Yeah.
I mean, something happens to it in the second one. I won't spoil it for you, but or at the end of the first one, I forget. But in the second one, you see what happened happening in front of you. You know what I mean? So it's whatever the story says, it gets moved over to the next game. So if a certain thing happens, then you'll see it in the next one. And the same for the third one. It's all connected together. So there is like progression in the landscapes as well as the story, not just, voice actors saying something different. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm probably talking about my ass right now, but it's stick with it.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I'll talk briefly about Monster Hunter Wilds since it's coming out. I think
cannot believe you
on the week of this airing the podcast. Well, I wanted to check it out. Like, I haven't played a Monster Hunter game. I couldn't quite understand in my head why people like it so much. So I was like, I've got to dunk in, haven't I?
Sensible.
If I'm going to talk about it, I've got to dunk in. So basically, it's the demo I played. I don't know if the main game is going to have a whole long plot line or whether it is much more of a Power Worlds type experience where you just go on a bunch of excursions and hunt down monsters and collect, like trophies from the monsters that you hunt down. But I guess its unique, its USP is it's a little bit more of a complicated version of when you track down monsters and stuff in The Witcher 3. So it's a little bit like that. The combat mechanics, they're pretty robust and sturdy. There's a whole heap of about 12 different main weapons that you can choose to go with, and you have to learn how to play the game a different way. So it was kind of interesting in that respect. It doesn't feel as fluid or as crisp as, say, something like Stellar Blade in terms of those combat mechanics. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that really amazed me was the graphics. It was one of the worst. Now, I don't know whether they're going to go and put a massive layer of polish on this when this comes out.
No, that's how they all are.
They're horrendous graphics on the Series S that I played. Horrendous graphics. Some of the worst graphics I played on the Series S.
No, it's a PS3 game. It's
awful.
Yeah. I dabbled with Monster Hunter Worlds about 4 or 5 years ago because it was on Game Pass, and everyone was going mad over it, just like you said. I dipped into it for 20 minutes. I was like, what the hell is this rubbish? I don't know. It's not me. It felt old. I was like, what am I missing here? I don't know. I don't know.
So I played it, completed the demo, and that's where it's going to stay for me. It's not my type of game.
Than I am. I couldn't even get that far.
Played a bit of Gravel. It's a racing game, which you may have seen on the YouTube Shorts, where they've decided to use Magic Mike cast members as racing drivers for some reason. It's just really, really strange.
Give it that sex appeal.
But I've got to say, well, I don't know why they'd need to put sex appeal in a racing game, but there we go. It's not exactly like you've got the people, holding the signs up before an F1 race, or what used to happen with the F1 racing. But for a really super cheap game that's always on sale, I was genuinely quite impressed with not only the car physics on this one. it feels like a pretty decent, sturdy off-road type racer. So I was pretty happy with that one. It is, again, very rudimentary. I would say it's as rudimentary as playing something like Drive Club, where you've got your series of races and that's all it's really going to throw at you. So they've made the championship lengths a little dragged. Each time you go through a cup, those amount of races to win a cup gets longer and longer. And then it does that type of thing. But yeah, that wasn't too bad. And then I played Doggy Up, which is available if you want to see on the live stream. £6 I paid for that garbage. My God, it is an absolute Unity asset flip. I paid for it.
I thought it was like, a Game Pass gem.
No, I looked at, because you did a little stream of an oddball 1 hour type game, and I was like, maybe I'll stream something quirky. And it turned out that I had about 20 minutes I could say anything really about it. And then afterwards, there was nothing else to say about it. And it was genuinely awful. Just Die already, we played together. Just, I guess, for the people, if you like Goat Simulator, you might like this game. You escape an old people's home, and your bucket list is essentially to try and die in the most creative ways. That's it in a nutshell, essentially. But you can play online co-op crossplay. And that was our first time we've used Discord audio chat to play a game cross Xbox and PlayStation before. So
quality could be a little bit better. It was a bit of a muff.
Yeah, I kind of got a bit bored of it, like after 40 minutes. So honestly, that's going to sit in the dead pile and never get played again. But that's it. I don't really need to say much about Kill It With Fire. I won't bother. It's not worth talking about. So that was the Playstack. It's better than the Doggy Up. It's better than Doggy Up.
Just one point on that. I think I started Kill It With Fire, and then I couldn't play it for one very oddball reason.
Was it spiders by any chance?
No, I don't have arachnophobia. I invert my horizontal sticks, and it doesn't have an option to invert.
So does it not?
I can't play it. It literally, I feel like I'm retarded in the game. I want to look up, I look down, and vice versa. My brain just works in flip. It's like an airplane yoke. When I pull back on the stick, I expect it to look up, not look down like other people do. I don't know. I'm just wired like that.
Right.
So I couldn't play that game.
Fair play. It reminds me. It's got the aesthetic style of Teardown, that Demolition game. Except Teardown's much more fun.
Yeah.
But, it's alright. I got, again, super sale on Xbox, cheapest chips.
We need to make a new playlist on the channel.
Yeah.
Gypsy picks, right?
Gypsy picks.
All the chunk from the bottom of the barrel on all platforms.
Yeah.
And I got a feeling the Switch is going to be up there. Just gypsy picks, anything like $1.99 or less, just lives there. We're just effing and blinding. We got to think about that.
We'll have to take a look. What I want to do is I just want to go across. I don't want to hit the feature game just yet. I want to cover a couple of news stories first. And actually, I might do all the news first, and then we'll hit the feature game.
And for those curious, it's Avowed, so stay tuned because we're going to go in depth.
Exactly. We'll also be clipping the Avowed piece as a separate video, I'd imagine. So you can check that out on the channel as well. So, gaming news. We'll start off with a very quick one then. DJ Khaled is being rumoured to host his own radio station in GTA 6 if this game ever releases.
Yep.
So, apparently he's getting his own unique radio station in the game.
Yeah.
There's not really much else we can say about it other than, has he got the keys to knowing whether this game's going to be coming out?
He's got the keys, and it makes a lot of sense because Grand Theft Auto 5 had Big Boy, which is a famous LA radio DJ, on the radio station there. So DJ Khaled makes a lot of sense. He's connected with everyone and anyone, so he's got a song. He's got, I'm guessing it will be a 20-track mashup, 45 minutes or so. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. GTA 6 is set in Miami or Vice City. So he's from the MIA. Yeah, absolutely looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to this second trailer dropping if it ever drops.
I'm looking forward to the game. Yeah, we got quantum computing. Microsoft.
Yeah, I saw,
they announced the Marijuana one or Marijuana one, whatever it's called.
Majorana, I think.
That's it, Majorana. They've achieved quantum computing. We still don't have GTA 6.
Still don't have GTA 6.
So now
I'm a bit worried there's still no new trailer, which suggests to me, are we really pushing into 2026 now, potentially?
I mean, rumors are suggesting October for a launch date, and I don't know if I believe that. I'm not worried about the trailer. I'm more like antsy for the trailer because I just want to see more of this game.
Yeah.
But this is typical Rockstar. They don't show anything until I mean, the first trailer they had to, because I think shareholders and investors were getting a bit like, all right, you guys are taking the mick now. You used to put 4 games out a year. Now it's 1 every 10 years. So we shall see.
Well, they're in Edinburgh under lock and key. They got more security in Rockstar in Edinburgh than what the US government had in the previous administration. It was the situations they're in under.
Honestly, think we should get Elon over there to investigate and see if the money's been spent accordingly. Doge.
Oh, you never know what he might find. We've had some layoffs as well happen. So Marvel Rivals I still haven't played, but this has been the first free-to-play game. Genuinely, I had my hopes out for X Defiant doing well, and that went really bad, didn't it, in the end? But Marvel Rivals did really nice numbers in terms of it releasing, and you kind of expect it, really, given the fact that it's Marvel characters. It kind of gives them an ease of a way in to give them kind of the head start surrounding that. But it had 644,000 concurrent players at one point. So this game was doing really, really well in terms of launch. It's got a lot of people still interested in it. They've gone and laid off some of their team. Even on a successful free-to-play game, you can't get away without getting hit by some of these redundancies. So I don't know.
It does go back to what we were saying,
point does it stop?
We've spread the free-to-play game so thinly now. And you can only play one game at a time. And if you genuinely love free-to-play games... It's
successful, though. This one is actually successful.
Yeah.
So
as successful as it is, though, you're still up against Fortnite, Roblox, and Minecraft. It's a tough one. That's a ruthless market. Unless you're on top, you're gonna fail. It doesn't matter. As we've seen with Marvel characters or not, you're not gonna...
Yeah.
And we've got another
it generated $130 million for them in the first month of release.
First month.
Which isn't bad.
It's not bad.
First month of release.
Yeah.
So, but it is what it is. Here's one that be interest you, by the way. So there's a game studio called Savvy in Saudi Arabia, and they are actually looking at seriously purchasing Niantic and grabbing all of their Pokemon Go assets and all of that jazz. So we don't know whether this is going to go ahead or not at this point in time, but the valuation price tag is around about $3.5 billion for the takeover happening itself. So Savvy Games themselves have predominantly been kind of a bit more mobile, I guess, focused. Which obviously Pokemon Go is a mobile game, but it's not like they've been dabbling too much in higher things like that. I don't know whether this is the Saudi version of what Zynga used to be, but interesting. It seems they're trying to, not only establish footholds obviously in sports across the world. It seems like gaming, which I know esports has been a big thing for them, but it looks like even they're looking to expand in the mobile gaming market. So. What that means for Pokemon Go, if that takeover goes through, I don't know. Maybe
it's an interesting one because Pokemon Go is kind of at the end of its life cycle now, and the only people left on Pokemon Go still playing are the hardcore nerds. And I'm not even. I mean, I dipped out once COVID, peaked and kind of started going down again. I was just like, they tried to release a new generation, new raids and stuff like that, and I was one of those people that would go out and raid all day on a Saturday and Sunday. Buy packs of balls and incense and all this stuff. And I really was into it. COVID did mess it up for me, though. I do think about going back into it just to see how much is different, because I've heard people dip in after like 3-4 years and they're going, whoa, bit much.
Yeah, a lot's changed. But no.
Yeah. So unless Niantic's got something that they haven't announced yet, I'm not too sure on this business decision. We'll see, I guess. They've got... I mean, Saudi's got that FU money, really. I mean, so this is nothing to them.
Well, exactly. So it's the Savvy Games Group's a subsidiary of the Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, as chaired by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So there you go. They've got the money to do it. They've got that oil money, baby.
It's like FU money.
It looks like America might be getting that FU money now.
We might be getting a $5,000 rebate soon. Oh, let's go. I'm all for it.
There we go. Did you hear about this? Did you get a chance to watch? I watched the video with Phil Spencer and the guys from Ninja Theory, where he was just kind of expanding upon Muse, the generative AI model for gameplay. It does make me wonder, Microsoft are in a better position to take advantage of AI stuff than I guess Sony would be. Technically. Is this we talked about a USP. What is a USP for a new piece of hardware if they're insisting on continuing to make Xbox consoles and they need something that isn't the game? So what is it? Is this AI type of thing possibly something to do with
AI is definitely going to be the centerpiece of the next gen. But we would be stupid to think that only Microsoft are looking into this. Sony are absolutely looking into this as well. And Nvidia are also looking on the PC side. The only one I'm a little bit wide for is Switch, but they may be okay because they dominate a completely different lane, so they may just succeed on that basis alone and the price tag. I think AI, it's definitely going to go in the way of AI. My only concern is that I hope this isn't just one of those stupid limitations where it's like, oh, we're using AI to make for games. And it's like, well, yeah, because it speeds up the creation process. I don't want them to say AI is in games because now they made NPCs AI. Like, I want it to do more than just, oh, the NPC can figure out a walking pattern on its own without us having to program 6 million of them in GTA 6, for example. You know what I mean? There's got to be more than that. There's got to be interaction, like that NVIDIA demo we saw a while back. If I walk up to someone and if I use a microphone or I click an on-screen prompt, I want the answer to be unique. I want them to look in my inventory and go, oh, you're carrying that thing that, everyone's looking for. I'll give you some money for it. Or just looking at my appearance based on some of the cosmetics I've chosen when I created my character, for example. Am I threatening? Am I, do I look someone who could be robbed? I'm thinking off the top of my head, like, it's really got to be more than just, they have their own walking patterns and that's it, gaming solved,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting, a quote from this article is, it says, today countless classic games are tied to aging hardware and are no longer playable by most people. Thanks to this breakthrough, they're exploring the potential of Muse to take the even older back catalogue from games studios and seeing if there's a way to revive them. So that's certainly an interesting element. We've obviously had this generation, I would say, it's been one of the best generations for classic PC games to find their new life on console, and that could open that up even further potentially, which is I'm all for. Still waiting for my Big Red Racing remake or remaster.
I might make it at this
maybe
rate.
That will happen.
AI, the whole thing.
So, Copilot Labs is going to be coming soon for developers. I think some have already got their hands on it. We'll see what happens in relation to that. But yeah, I'd imagine we'll probably see more of that, 2026 and beyond. Whether that will have a big play into this,
I think
new Xbox, I'm not sure.
I think where Microsoft may have the upper hand, though, is they own Copilot. They'll factor the tools into DirectX as well. So developing for Xbox and PC will be a lot more seamless than it will be to probably learn a new tool set with Sony, because we don't know what they're doing. They're already using proprietary upscaling with PSSR, whereas everyone else is using DLSS on the NVIDIA side or FSR on the AMD side. Sony have decided to do their own thing. Now, it's likely that Microsoft are going to be using AMD again, so they'll probably stick with go with FSR. I think 4 now, which is a lot better than what I think's there now. I think it's 2.2. It'll be interesting because we got to a point where gaming development converged with the x86 architecture when the Xbox One and the PS4 came out. That was a whole big thing. Games were too hard at one point, and it's like, well, that's great for developers, but we haven't really seen much of a benefit because games are taking longer than ever, and that's based on familiar architecture, familiar tool sets, like PC environments. So that hasn't really benefited in many ways, apart from having to make 2 identical SKUs of the same game on different requirements. You know, is this going to branch out a little bit more? We're saying we want the next set of consoles to be a bit more different. You know, give me a reason to buy an Xbox and a PS6, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
I mean, a Switch is an obvious one, and then at the moment it looks like a PS6 for me, but again, I'm going to give Microsoft the benefit of the doubt. It's like an old girlfriend. You hope she gets better, but you never know, you know? She might not.
Let's see what they can potentially do. I think AI is certainly a big part of that. They can't just rely on, you know, their game streaming, cloud saving benefits as being, you know, something to buy a machine with, because
it's not. You can't just.
You can do it.
They're
just subscription only. You know?
Yeah, they're clearly preying on the convenience factor, and that's fine. Do that concurrently, right? But for God's sake, if you're going to put Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation, at least add VR support. Like, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. You know, do something. You know, don't just. Missed opportunities here.
Well, I'm hoping for the next batch of single player. I don't know if we'll see it, because we've already got a whole bunch of stuff in the pipe, obviously from Bethesda on Elder Scrolls 6, so that's not going to be it. You know, where are these new single player RPGs that might take advantage of these AI NPC LLMs that you can interact with? I know we've had this conversation before, but I would just love to be able to learn about the game on my terms and not read this another document that I pick up, another book. We'll go on to Avowed, but you know, another bloody book, another book to read, and it's just like only so much of that I'll save that. But what a nicer way if I can learn about stuff happening. And of course, they'll have to put cutscenes in and missions and stuff. But what if I want to find about this lore on my own terms? You know, depending on how much I want to learn about it or little of it, I can ask a tradesperson, you know, stuff that's more pertained to them. It'd be nice if I could ask a tradesperson, have you seen this shifty looking guy walk around here recently, if you're tracking down a target or something? Little things like that could be, that's a big, that for me, that is a jump or a leap in gaming that we've just not really seen for, it feels like ages since we've had a real leap of something. And Nintendo tends to be the one that makes it a bit more interesting. Let's see Xbox make it be a bit more interesting, you know, or something. But if they're going to multi-plat the whole thing, none of them will be anyway. So they've got to put some exclusives back in if they want to give us these, new experiences.
Who knows? Maybe the next Xbox, that chip, that quantum chip they just announced that's the new Xbox. That's the new brains. You know? Project Brooklyn, what the hell is it called? Marijuana?
Majorana or something
Majorana.
like that it's called. It's based on a guy in the 1930s or something.
I mean, at one point I called it Maharaja. You know, Maharaja 1.
So
I'm pretty sure that was an Indian rocket that went up to space recently, wasn't it? Maharaja 1.
It might have been.
There you go.
Right. We've also got some interesting developments happening on the space that Elon Musk. There was rumours about him setting up a game studio. It's now 100% being confirmed that he's going to be setting up a fully fledged game studio to bring interesting experience. And it's nice to see. For me, it's nice to see a different dog in the fight, so to speak. You know, we've had a lot of years where a lot of DEI is interlaced and threaded through games. It's abundantly obvious in some games, less obvious in others. This studio really, for me, it seems like they just want to get back to the core, get back to the heart of video games. And in some places, you'd have to go back to perhaps the original Xbox to see what that felt like all over again, where it just felt a bit more like this. We want to create a character who's just you really aspire to be type thing. I don't know. We'll see what Elon does, but his tech demo on Grok for games, I thought it was going to Grok 3. I thought it was going to be a bit more interesting. It wasn't. He basically interspliced the mechanics of Bejeweled and Tetris together. It was flat. It was wireframed. I was like, obviously, it can do stuff in interlace with the proper, Unreal or something. But I thought they were going to show something a bit more interesting than that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's another company. How does this guy have the time to play Path of Exile 2? He doesn't. He pays someone to manage his account. There we go. What do we have up next? Multiversus has closed down, by the way.
Surprise, surprise.
This is Warner Brothers' version of Smash Brothers. And I had a chance to play that back in the day. I think we've covered it on one of our episodes, and it was quite enjoyable, seeing all those classic Warner Brothers characters, Bugs Bunny, a couple of people from was it Scooby-Doo? I think it was a couple of Scooby-Doo characters in there, and all of that stuff. And there's some really nice, interesting power moves, had a decent progression system. It was free to play, but you could buy the characters. It's gone under. So that's another one on the heap, on the pile. Did you have a chance to ever play that or not?
I think I played 1 or 2 games way back in the day when that came out, but their problem was they launched this thing under the or at least given the impression that it was going to be a free to play. And then out of nowhere, they pull it from the stores and say, oh, by the way, it was a beta. And then it goes away for a year. So obviously...
And it comes back.
It comes back out of nowhere. So what, you expect that people have just been sitting around waiting a year for your game to come back? No, they've moved on. Things happen in life. They've picked up another free to play, and it goes hand in hand with what I was saying earlier. You can only play one game at once. You get sucked into something else. Who gives a damn about this, So it's their own fault. They should have left the quote-unquote beta up there for people to play and then do whatever they needed to do on the back end. Yeah.
So you've still got a chance to play this if you do want to play it until the 30th of May, 2025. So whether you're looking to scrape some ECGs or some trophies, you can still drop in.
I think the biggest story here is how much turmoil Warner Brothers are, their gaming division. Because they've had nothing but loss after loss. I mean, they fumbled 2 DC games, with Suicide Squad and Justice League. And then now, Multiversus is tanked. And then Mortal Kombat 1 isn't doing so great either. So rumor has it that
was this Microsoft possibly buying it? I can't see how they get away with it, to be honest.
At this point, it really is just you're buying them for IP. There isn't anything making a lot of money on him. I mean, their only success at the moment are still floating is Mortal Kombat 1. Is Mortal Kombat in general, but Mortal Kombat 1 isn't even one of the better regarded Mortal Kombat games. People have been wanting a Mortal Kombat X style game for a few years now, and they just don't seem to be making it. MK9 didn't do it. MK1 isn't doing it. So I don't know. Who wants to buy them at this point? I mean, if I were another big publisher or developer, I would just...
Well, don't they have the rights to the Batman games, right?
They do, but I would just go directly to DC and say, look, WB's tanking, we'll buy the rights off them if they shut down. And just shortcut it. Why would you go through the hassle and having to pay for all the... Nah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
I can definitely see NetherRealm Studios getting spun off and bought by someone. But knowing WB, they'll want to sell all or nothing because of pride. If they lose NetherRealm, which is their only profitable studio, no one's going to buy the rest, which aren't doing anything. And they're saying, rumor has it that Rocksteady's been given the green light to do another Batman game, an Arkham game again. But is it too late? Because a bunch of people have already left Rocksteady, the people that made those Arkham games. So we may get an Arkham game in name only. Will it play or have the same impact like the others did? Who knows? Probably won't.
Well, if it's going to end up with people who've left Rocksteady, you could end up with something like Gotham Knights, which was absolute dog's dinner.
This is it.
So
yeah,
we'll have to see.
Yeah,
answers on a postcard for that one. The guys at Team Asobi have been adding another 5 free levels onto Astrobot.
Yeah, they have.
And I've also noticed that the PSSR patch has been making the game look worse.
Yep, that too.
So you'll probably see, I'm just going to check the date here. So 2 of those levels have already released, but there's a few more to come. 27th of February sees Cockadoodle Doom come out. March 6th, Hard to Bear, and March 13th, Armored Hardcore. None of these levels of which are playable until you complete the game.
Oh.
And apparently, even the time trial levels, the first batch, they can't play them until you complete the game.
Interesting.
So Whether I ever get round to playing them is a
Do it. It's
hard
such a fun
question.
game. Why haven't you not finished it? So I accidentally found this out. I hopped online one day and my PS5 was like, oh, Astrobot's been updated. I'm like, what? Are they adding more stuff to it? Hopped on, saw a new universe pop up, a new level. I was like, all right, let me do this. TikTok Shock's pretty damn hard. It is definitely harder than the It's more in line with the challenge levels that we saw in the main game. Probably took me a good 10-15 goes to do the level though. So it was definitely a challenge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But fun. I mean, I just want more of this game. Just don't drip feed me, don't Netflix me. Just give me the whole, season at once.
Yeah,
binge it. Or just release a $20 pack that has like 2 extra worlds or something in it. That's what we want.
That'd be nice. That'd be better, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do it. Probably not, but there we go. We got a couple more stories before we get onto our main feature game. I just wanted to touch upon this. It's the irony, by the way, that you'll know that in previous episodes I've talked in and out about Rocket League. It's been a good chunk since I've played it, to be honest with you, but it's basically Psyonix's part, obviously, of the Epic Games studio that have rested on their laurels for a very, very long time with Rocket League. You've got your purists who are the esports players who don't want to see that game change for love nor money. And then you've got the more casual players that actually go, look, I enjoyed what I played of Rocket League. But you've got to throw some new stuff and different stuff in here than just adding cosmetics on the season pass. Well, the irony that they're going to be bringing their Season 18's not only been extended, Season 17 I think was extended, with Season 18 bringing in a limited time mode. But they've got a mode in that hasn't been in since Season 5 called Crossbar Ping. And what's the biggest problem with Rocket League? Ping. This game has always had ping problems, so it's super ironic that they are releasing that as a limited time mode. I don't know if I'm still seeing, even with that, I've not played that game mode. Is it enough for me to down? Because I don't have Rocket League installed on either of my Xboxes at the moment.
About 3-4 years
I can't see it being enough. Yeah. So unless they go through some major evolutionary step with that game, I don't think I'll ever play it again. I mean, people have tried to stay with it, but you could see on their Facebook page now, everyone's just getting ragged off with just a lack of effort coming from Psyonix. And I don't know whether Epic aren't giving them a budget, but it seems so weird that they put so much love into the Fortnite chapters and seasons that Rocket League just doesn't get anywhere near the amount of love. If they put more effort into it, maybe they'll, bring that player base number back.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
still waiting on the sequel.
They made it free to play years ago, didn't they? We paid for the bloody thing when it came out.
Yeah, like 20 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Never gave us a refund.
Have Elon investigate them as well.
I won't bother with this one. Basically, did you get affected by that? Because since the last record, PSN had a 4-day outage. Did you notice it?
No.
Or
no,
the only
thing I found weird, but I didn't realize there was an outage at the time. I was, I think I was playing The Order, and on PS5, when you hit the PS5 button on your pad and it brings up the activity cards, I was looking for the trophies card to see like what trophies I still needed, and I couldn't. The card wasn't there for some reason. So I kept closing and reopening it. The card just wasn't there. So I guess because it wasn't connecting to the core network, it wasn't pulling the trophies down. So I said whatever at the time, but then come to find out later on there was an outage, and I was like, all right, well, it would have been nice to have been like, oh, cannot get trophy information at this time, or give me a message rather than just not showing the card,
Yeah.
But that was about it. But yeah, apparently we're getting 5 days of free PSN.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how we do
Not
that.
giving away free games anymore. It shows you the economy.
No.
They've given up on all of that stuff. But Sony have had their biggest quarter yet. Do you want to go into that one?
I mean, this is just it goes in. It's becoming an every episode feature now at this point. Microsoft keep putting games on other platforms. It's going to bolster the other platforms and make Xbox tank. As you said, PS5 just had their biggest quarter, selling 9.5 million units between October and December of 2024. That is insane. On the Microsoft side, though, what was it? 2.5? So it's still being, almost 4 times. 4 times the sales. That brings Sony's total sales up to 75 million, bumping their gaming business up to 37% compared to the same period last year. I mean, what more is to say about this? This is just, it's getting ridiculous at this point.
Well, it's already game over.
Microsoft are going to become the next Sega.
Yeah.
They're going to lose their hardcore audience, and then people will stop. The next gen's going to fail. It's going to fail. Even worse than the Series X and S.
They'll probably end up just offloading it to a third party to manufacture it.
But apparently, some of the stuff I'm hearing is that Microsoft know that their hardware sales are not going to be big next gen. And because of the state of the economy, these next consoles are not going to be subsidized like previous generation of consoles. So they'll be selling them at full price. So in theory, they won't lose money. They'll just be made to order. It's like, oh, you want a new Xbox? All right, here's $7.99. All right, give us a couple of weeks. We'll get that to your door. So in a way, they don't lose money.
I'd be amazed if there isn't a double SKU, though.
What, like a Series S2?
Yes. Yeah.
Honestly,
something that gets them in on the low end.
I honestly think that the Series S makes a lot of sense being turned into a handheld. That is a Series S. If you can put Series S power into a handheld, then you're already beating the Switch 2. That will be a serious contender. But then again, is there enough on that side of the fence to make me want to invest in that ecosystem? It doesn't matter what way you skew it. It keeps coming back to that question. Or I can spend $400 or $500 on a Switch 2, and I know I'm going to get some great games. And historically, Nintendo have supported the crap out of their consoles. Even on the brink of the Switch, we still got Breath of the Wild on Wii U. So they.
So apparently, is this a bit of Sony stiffery?
In what sense?
In terms of Days Gone, or
absolutely,
or is this people complaining?
No,
just for no reason?
This is stiffery. So when they announced this during our reaction to the State of Play show, I was really excited because I hadn't played that yet. I got my copy free with the monthly games at some point in time. So I'm like, oh, that's fine. Got it free. I'll pay $10. Easy. Upgrade. Yeah. Well, apparently, if you've got the version that came with the free games that month, whenever it was, you have to buy the entire retail package. They're not considering that as purchased. So Days Gone is going to be gone from my wish list for the time being, and they can wait for that.
Wow.
Many are even arguing, did we even need an upgrade for it? It's a PS4 game. Yeah, I think it's just busy work, to be honest with you. Hire a little studio, just up-res the texture. Because all these remasters, and they're all being done by smaller studios, like Horizon Zero Dawn, that got done by Nixes, so probably didn't pay too much for it. You got Blue Point doing Demon Souls, and I forget who done Days Gone, but here we are.
I just find it a little bit weird because if they were to speculate here, they could see how many. They've got the data to see how many people, how many players on their database has them in their libraries, right? So they've got access to that data. They've got access to consumer sentiment and feel about the game. It's like, are they just not seeing enough uptake from people that had already had it in their library? Is a lot of people that had it in their PSN library already completed Days Gone, so they went, well, the chances of people going back through just to play it better graphics again are less than someone who's perhaps played 3 hours of it or something.
I don't remember
I don't know
exactly what it was. There was some controversy surrounding this game at the time it came out. I completely forget what it was about, though. My only thinking is that could have probably hindered the sales at the time. And now they're probably like, okay, enough time's passed. Let's give it a second wind. But part of me cannot help but think that this is just busy work to keep the first party branding alive in these shows. Because we've gone, 3 years now almost without a strong first party lineup almost. We got Ghost of Yotei. Prior to that, we had Astro Bot. Astro Bot was probably the biggest one that we've had in a long time. And even that was a simple platformer. What was the other game they announced? It was Rise of the Ronin, which didn't do great.
Flopped.
Yeah. Wolverine's almost coming up to 5 years now since they announced that. Allegedly, there's a Venom game that we're supposed to be seeing in the style of Miles Morales, a shorter experience. We've got no, announcement of that. We've obviously got Saros now, the spiritual successor to Returnal. So, and that's not coming out till next year. So I don't know. Are Sony keeping their cards close to their chest? So at one point they can just be like, right, instead of announcing things 3-4 years away, we can just do it 6 months or a year up until launch. Because I'm starting to see that with a lot of games now. The lead up from announcement to launch is a lot quicker. So let's just I hope they get back on their feet, because this is very un-Sony like to be in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling to put my finger on it. This cannot be the aftermath of COVID still, surely. Surely it can't be at this point. And it's...
No, you wouldn't think so.
I mean, but other than that, what's changed? I mean, inflation went up, fine.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, I think collectively across industry, they've seen where we're progressing on the AI front. And to be honest, I think it's a great excuse for them to thin out, trim their teams down. There might be a bit of an air gap between releases. And although you would say, the integer, which Sony, it's been that way, but they see this come down the traps 3 years ago. I think there's more of a story there, but I certainly think industry-wide, you're seeing them trimming the fat and possibly rebuilding with a much smaller... Well, it's not just happening in the games industry, it's happening everywhere. So maybe it's a direct result of some of that, perhaps.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just, I think we've become, not we, like you and I, but like just companies in general have become very complacent with hiring, but like you said, never trimming the fat. And, if you think prior to COVID, where every year we got these massive Spider-Man-like games being built, the team just keeps growing. And then all of a sudden during COVID, it comes to this realization that, we don't actually need all these people to do this part of the game or that part of the game, or, you know what I mean? Certain elements of it. So all these layoffs that we're seeing, sad as it may be, these are layoffs that were going to happen at some point anyway. In my opinion, I think we just overhired, and we're seeing it as a direct. We're seeing it now with the federal government in the US. They're doing exactly the same thing. I think this is honestly, I don't want to sound conspiratory, but this is a bit of a great reset, isn't it? It's
the fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah, it literally is happening, and on the forefront of that, once we peek our heads out from the stand, is going to be AI.
Yeah.
So, but again, I want to see in practical terms what AI is going to do for gaming. Is it going to mean that my FPSs, they're going to be a bit more diligent in dodging my shots? What is it? I don't know.
We'll find out.
I don't know.
We've got too long to wait. Yeah. Let's finish off then on our featured game of the episode. Let's talk about Avowed. There's a lot to talk about on this particular game. Just, I guess, for transparency, I think I'm about 16 hours in myself. I really, really got into the beginning of this game. But we'll get into the discussion around it. So, I guess, where do we kind of really start? I guess the overview around Avowed itself.
I'm going to pull the Band-Aid off.
You want to pull the Band-Aid off? First of all...
Let's be controversial. Go on.
Okay. I was just about to say... I didn't even know prior to playing this game this was set in the world of Pillars of Eternity, which I haven't played.
Neither did I.
But I had no idea about that, but that was supposedly the case. But rip the Band-Aid off then, go on.
I'm having more fun on this than Starfield.
Oh, yeah. Easily. It's not hard.
It's not... It's... What do I say about Avowed? It doesn't do anything new. Doesn't reinvent the wheel. No. Still fantasy, and I'm not even a big fantasy guy. I've never played an Elder Scrolls game. It does exactly what I expected it to do. Plays exactly how I thought it would play. Looks the way I thought it would look. There's enough. There's enough story there.
I thought it looked nice.
It does look nice. It's not. It's not bad. It just looks exactly how I expected it to. It's not surprising me in any way. Like there were certain things with Starfield. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's different. But what I realized kind of 2 hours in, even when I'm just navigating from one part of the map to a quest or something, I just realized I really enjoy the journey to these quests, which is weird to say, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Starfield had you go back to the ship, loading screen to climb up the ladder, another loading screen to get into the cockpit, go onto the map, select your planet if you can figure out how to get there, another loading screen to get there, another loading screen as you're landing. All right, walk to the back of the ship, look for the hatch, another loading screen to get out. Like, it really put into perspective how bad Starfield's loading was.
Yeah.
But the fun, I'm going way off topic here. The funny thing is, when we get that game of the remake of Starfield at whatever point in the future, and all that's seamless, that's going to be an amazing version of Starfield when you can go from one place without having loading screens. IGN gave this a 7.
Yeah.
5 hours in, I'd say it's about that. It's very, I don't even want to use the word average, because average makes it sound bad, and it's not bad. It's very, everything you encounter, everything you see, everything you do, everything you hear is expected. It's very, okay, yep, that's what this game's about. Yeah. It does this, it looks that way, it smells like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And I think I'm okay with that. Not because the game is the best thing I've ever played, but because of the time period that we're in, I suppose. It's a game that was announced 3.5 years ago almost. Finally, it's here. Fantasy. Yeah. You know, equip your character with a bunch of armor, upgrade your weapons, find new loot, go to this person over here, gives you a quest, look for his dead brother over there, bring a document back from there, bring it back to the quest owner. You know, it's very does exactly what you expect it to do. I think is the best way I can summarize this game.
Did you find, I mean, I'm kind of understanding the plot, but it starts off very weird and odd at the beginning, where it's leaving breadcrumbs for you to better understand. So I'm at the point at the moment where I have still no understanding of who, because you play as a godlike in the game.
Well, if you choose to be. If you choose to be.
Do you get to choose to be a godlike?
Yeah, when you create your character, there's an option. Do you want to be godlike, yes or no?
Oh, I did not realise that.
Yeah, so I wonder how the game would have been if because I chose godlike as well, because I've never seen it before. I wonder how the game
there's a lot of the dialogue. The dialogue is centered around this godlike and this stuff. You're hearing something from the beyond that's talking to you and stuff.
Sorry, I'll rephrase that. The option is, do you want the world or the people you encounter in the world to know that you're godlike? So you could look godlike, but they won't react like. So, for example, as a godlike character, every time I walk up to someone, they're like, "Oh wow, you're a godlike."
Oh, it happens all the time.
Yeah, turning that off, they will just treat you like a normal human being, I guess.
Oh right, okay.
But you could still very well.
So you're a godlike, but you don't know which god you essentially was born from, or whatever they're trying to tell you, or whatever. And then you're getting messages from the beyond, who have given you a power ability at one point to basically be able to revive, essentially, characters and add additional health to yourself. And you get that for a favour that they want from you, which still hasn't kind of revealed itself yet. But they're constantly, every time you go to sleep to the party camp, which are dotted throughout the map, you can basically, this is where you do all of your upgrades and stuff. You might jump out of that camp that you're in, and then you'll get a sleeping cutscene every now and then, and they'll speak to you and reveal the mystery and be really ambiguous, and it kind of feeds into you telling them about how you would be as a person if you were a godlike. I think that's the whole point of it. I don't think the point of it is, I'm assuming it's going to reveal some story there at some point. Yeah. I think the frustration for me is, the further these dialogue trees are going, is the further lore that you pick up dotted throughout this game, which my version, it's shining bright purple every time there's a book, which I wish I perhaps didn't have that turned on, because every time I see a chest, it's too obvious and in your face. But I was, at the beginning of the game, I was reading all that stuff, immersing myself into the lore of the universe. At 12 hours in, I've really kind of zoned out from it. I'm hitting some side missions now where I'm like, just you want help with a vase. This woman on the second, I think it's Fjordell or whatever it was, the land, part of the mini lands that I'm in. She wants help with a vase. This dialogue tree goes on for like a minute and a half. You want a vase, right? You want help getting this vase, whatever it's enchanted or whatever it does. Great. You don't need to have a 2-minute conversation with me to tell me why you need it. And it's just, I'm starting to even skip dialogue now, which I didn't think that I would do. But there is something about Avowed that I really enjoy, and perhaps the most part that I enjoyed about Avowed is it's actually the world design. You know, I've not seen this beautiful fauna and some of the verticality that you see. And you could argue at some points Avowed feels in some of these cities like you're in an Assassin's Creed game, but without the people, right? But in terms of being able to vertically jump across and navigate and find these little hidden places, and there's some lovely hidden mysteries dotted around all of the places, you know, just finding ones in Paradise. And that's where you get your decent weapons, is just finding these random things. And you can buy treasure maps from vendors, but they don't make it obvious where this is. There was a treasure map where I've got to find someone's codpiece for some reason. But I found a couple of these ones that get revealed in treasure maps by accident, and you get some decent stuff. You get some decent stuff from it. So I enjoyed that, but then do you know what has kind of ruined some of it for me? Is the comparisons back to a 16-year-old game that is Skyrim, and the fact that this game just doesn't do hardly anything that Skyrim did. Now, I don't need it. I don't need the pickpocketing, right? But there's certain aspects in it where I'm helping someone out. I'm allowed to raid through her rucksack, steal all of her items. She even notices that I've stealed all her items, but she don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
She's just like, oh, I'll just sit there and take it.
Yeah. I had the same thing. I walked into that bar and relatively early on in the game, like an hour in or something. And after talking to the guy behind the counter, he's trying to fleece me for money for information about who, you know, shot me with the arrow and that. So I gave him the first bit of money, then he started fleecing me for more. And I'm like, no, I'm going to come back once I've upgraded my perseverance or whatever the requirement is. Walked around the side room and walked into his like back room and just raided the entire thing. And then there's no consequences. And I was like, that's a bit weird. Because in Fallout or in general, even any Bethesda game, the item's highlighted in red to say if you do this, it will bring bad karma to you. But here you can steal anything, so you haven't got to buy it. I find what I enjoy most about Avowed is I enjoy the traversing. I really enjoy the combat. But I'm not enjoying the interactions with the characters and the story elements to it. Like you said, there is a lot. There's a lot going on, and it really throws you. I mean, it starts off simple. You shipwrecked, and you want to get from A to B, and all right, fine, simple enough. And I can kind of follow the main sort of story with the whole, you know, you got to help this otherworldly spirit or whatever get it free. But it's just a lot,
and identify the origins of the Dream Scourge, which is like the plague.
But it's all the other stories as you go through the characters that start really mounting up, and it's like, well, hold on a second, I've just gotten here, and now I'm being kind of forced to remember all this lore. And on one hand, it's cool because as you're, you know, conversing with these characters, there's a button for the lore and all of the dialogue. So if you really want to go down that rabbit hole while you're in the sort of the conversation pick of view, you can. But that's a lot of damn lore. And I went through it once. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to refer to this encyclopedia every time I don't understand a word? Like, it was a bit much. So I can't work out if I'm supposed to have Pillars of Eternity knowledge prior to going into this. Because I'm going into this with just it being one of Xbox's biggest games they've announced 3 years ago. That's it. Yeah. And I like RPGs. So screw it. I'll play it, you know. But I like the combat. The combat's really interesting. The weapons,
combat is good.
Weapons feel great. They feel beefy when they need to feel beefy. They feel rubbish when they need to feel rubbish. The magic element is great as well. I've never played, like I said, an Elder Scrolls game. So having, you know, sort of a pistol in your right hand and the magic book in the left, and you're just buzzing off like fire and electric spells and everything, I find that really fun. And the fact that all that can be upgraded, and there's a lot of levels of to upgrade as well, really has me thinking when that moment comes. I'm in the sort of camp at night. I'm like, damn it, do I want to waste, you know, resource and upgrading this weapon because I know it's an early base weapon? Could help me. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so I am playing it on the hardest difficulty as well.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Path of the Damned, I think it's called.
Right.
In my usual sort of practice, I did go through the achievements, and I did see there was an achievement for finishing it on Path of the Damned. Did have me pondering for a while. I was like, oh god, do I want to go through this?
I'm getting rinsed even on normal, mate, in some places.
Nah.
If I go beyond my level, you know?
No, I tell you where it clicked to me, because for the first couple of hours, the combat was really pissing me off. I was dying like crazy, and I couldn't figure out why. And I said to myself, there has to be a dodge mechanic or a parry mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
So it's great when you've got the shield, you can kind of block and stuff. But when I don't have a shield, I should be able to parry with my sword or whatever. Well, I haven't found that if there is yet. But what I do know, if you hit the A button in a direction, it will sidestep or jump back.
Yeah, and that's a 4-axis dodge system.
Yeah, that completely changed everything. So now when I'm fighting giant bears that are way above, my level, I'm having no problems with it because I can attack them from a distance. Kai's doing what he does over there. And when they charge at me, I just sidestep, replen my magic or whatever it's called, the purple stuff, and then just hit them with another spell. So I've got a really, and I'm actually at the point where I'm not finding it tough at all now. I'm only level 6, I think.
Right.
And I'm not finding the difficulty tough anymore. It's just maybe the first hour or two I was getting rinsed by some of the enemies that would just leap into you. And
it seems to do this in different quantities, I've noticed. Because I'm into this second major area right now. And there are some new enemy types. And they're obviously leveled at a different layer. Now, when I try and follow that main quest, you'll hit a buffer period where you're like, no, this game now wants you to go around and do some side quests and grind and level up. I've hit that on the main game at 16 hours, where I just stepped into this area and I got absolutely rinsed. So I'm going to have to go through, do some of these side quests, bounty missions. The bounty missions are present, I believe, in every major, city or whatever place that you go. So I was like, I was hoping they might have thrown a few different bits in there. But I will say this, some of these side quests are rudimentary. Others, some fantastic side quests that I've come across. One of them was an investigation into the mines for the Valerians or whatever they're called. I probably pronounced it wrong. Basically, the guard that you're part of, you're the kind of the main or the interesting person from that brigade, right? They try to discover an artifact down a mine and it all goes wrong. That's the side mission, and essentially you've got to go in and rescue them. Now I thought, this is going to be a 5-minute job side mission. It wasn't, and it was really interesting how it progressed and who you meet down there. I won't say any more, because I'm assuming you haven't touched that one yet. But the fact that every now and then it will throw a side quest at you that has the richness and detail is nice. There are a few side quests that you're like, this is a fetch quest moment. This feels like a Bethesda game all of a sudden. That can happen too. I was trying to think of what else that I wanted to mention on this. So one, I've got to say as well, what I really appreciate is these elemental elements that you mentioned about. But they're also, you need in certain places to use these elements to actually get to where you need to go.
yeah,
So whether you've got to fire the ice to break gates or create yourself a platform to jump up and grab some stuff. I just wish the general loot and chests had some some random, more interesting bits in from time to time that wasn't. It was the standard resources that you need to go back to camp to upgrade your weapons. It'd be nice to find some more organic stuff, because of the amount of wood I've seen put in chests in this game. I'm like, surely it can't be that much of a valuable commodity, surely. I don't know, but there's some elements in there that it's the fact it's 16 years old and Skyrim in places does a better job. Like, why is it that guards from my own region who are seeing everything that's going on around them, and there's people attacking me, they're technically from my my same battalion, they don't even join in the fight, they just stand there, And
I think it's interesting when we're talking about AI as well, because this is a game where I think AI could do wonders, especially with the making it a more of a living, breathing world. Because the biggest criticism with Avowed is that NPCs, A, don't respawn. So once you've cleaned out an area, it's just a derelict area when you revisit. And two, if you go to a city centre, there's no one's walking around. Everyone's just stationary.
No, they're all stood.
They're stood there looking at a wall or a fountain, or they're sat on a bloody chair, just, not even heads turning, So it is a very stale game once you start to see through some of the shine.
Veneer,
Or if there's even shine. Which is funny.
Yeah, it was interesting because you don't necessarily realise it at first.
Well, I tell you,
and then all of a sudden, I didn't.
Speaking of shine, you boot up the game, it defaults you into quality mode. I said, well, I'm going to play on a Series X, see what it can do, and it wasn't smooth. It wasn't great. All right,
It's not. You have to adjust to it. But I had some problems in performance mode with audio shuddering. Which was really weird. And I had to end up defaulting it back to... Supposedly, this bug has something to do with the amount of games that you've got on suspend and resume that causes the audio buffering. But why it buffers in performance mode when it's totally fine in quality mode, I have no idea. Microsoft support even contacted me about it. That's just weird. Really weird asking me... Well, I think am I still got the problem?
What I found weird, I switched it to balance. I thought, okay, let me balance it out a little bit, get a bit best of both, and it felt like it was exactly the same as quality. So performance.
They must have patched it because when I played it before release, the balance mode wasn't even available.
I think it's a Series X option.
Right.
It's possibly what it is. It gives you I think quality gives you all the bells and whistles plus ray tracing. Balanced is, I think it removes the ray tracing. I don't even know if there is ray tracing, come to think of it. It removes something that enables the frame rate to go higher. But it's still not smooth. It's a bit weird. Performance, honestly, I'm not noticing too much of a degradation, and it gives me close enough to 60 where I don't feel like...
I'm getting these weird kind of hazy as if I'm watching the...
I've seen that.
Like
terrestrial
weird
TV.
Pixelation. Yeah, it's like watching The Irishman on Netflix type thing.
When your internet's going funny. No, it's exactly that. That's I think that's what's that called again? That's where it lowers the pixel count to compensate, and that's what you're seeing. Adaptive resolution. This is There have been a couple of places though where I've had major stutters though. I'll turn around and I get a nice view or a vista in the background, and it will kind of like grind to not a halt, but it really slows down to the point it's really noticeable. I mean, I don't know how to summarize this game, if I'm honest with you. I'm enjoying it. I do have a bit of an urge to want to play it, which is a good thing. I'm not bored of it. It doesn't feel like a chore, at least not yet. I can see myself going through and doing as much of this as possible.
Yeah.
Would I have paid full price for this? I don't know. I don't... Maybe the first round of discounts, sort of a 20-30% off, I could probably see myself. But even then, it's like... I think I picked it up because it's part of Game Pass. I think really that's really what it is. And it's the talk of the town at the moment. And Xbox needs something. So that's what this is. So don't worry. Give it 3 months. It'll be patched for PS5 Pro and be over there too.
Well, it is currently exclusive in terms of the consoles at the moment, isn't it?
Currently.
Just a couple of funny bugs that they've patched today. One of them was levitate briefly after opening a sarcophagus, momentarily uncrouch when opening a small lockbox, be unable to move after loading a save where Arcane Veil was active, get stuck aiming down sights after a cutscene. So these are some of the things they're having to fix in some places in the game. I don't feel like I felt like, because I paid the 18 to play the game early.
You got those skins.
Well, I think I got the additional skins and the digital art book, and which shows you all of the artwork from the game. I don't feel like I've been like mugged off. I'm quite happy to pay that. So I don't know. It was nice to be able to play it a little bit earlier to get some more time with it, I guess. Just because I haven't played the Outer Worlds either.
That's a good one. That's good.
You know, so how do these two games compare? Are you seeing? Like, I know they're set in two different, worlds or whatever, but are you seeing aspects of the outer worlds that you can see in this game, or is it totally? Does it feel like a completely different game?
I mean, a lot of the elements are there. It's an RPG, first person RPG. Substitute the swords for lasers and stuff, and you've got your ship kind of acts as the hub. So you use it to travel between worlds. Obviously, you don't fly the ship. You just pick a world on a map, and it will take you there. I find that the characters are a lot more interesting in Outer Worlds. I prefer the aesthetic in the Outer Worlds. I like the space theme a lot more than the fantasy theme. But I think, I'm at the point, I think I see through it kind of. Outer Worlds is Obsidian's answer to Fallout. Fans have been asking for New Vegas 2 for the longest time, which Obsidian made way back when. And I don't know why it hasn't happened yet, because it seems to be the thing that, besides Bloodborne, that's the second biggest thing that people are wanting. So I think they made this to kind of say, we can't give you Fallout, but here's something that hopefully, quenches your thirst. And it's a fantastic game. I actually enjoyed that a lot more than Avowed. I mean, it's too early to tell, but so far I enjoyed that. Characters are more memorable. There's more quirks. It's got that, like Fallout's got the dark humor. Tries to be serious on the outside, but there's like really messed up characters that say and do things that you're just like, what the hell? Outworlds has got that. You see a lot of remnants to kind of Starfield in there as well. And then Avowed is really their answer to Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, the fact that they can make Avowed in a shorter time than they did Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, Elder Scrolls 6 was announced, 8 years almost ago now. 8 years almost. And so not only did they announce it...
I think we're going to get the Outer Worlds 2 before Elder Scrolls 6.
Probably. We'll probably get GTA 6 before Elder Scrolls as well. I mean, it's the newest fantasy RPG. Nothing wrong with it. It's just
But it came out in the same cluster as Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 as well, which scored extremely well. But that's a whole different kettle of fish. I mean, that is a lot more realistic RPG, and I'm not sure if that's what I want, to be honest. But
there's a whole level of inclusion on that one, though.
I don't know.
Yeah, people not happy with
it. Yeah. Is there anything more to be said about it? I'm not sure there is.
I'm not going to score it. I'm just going to give it a simple thumbs up. Yeah, go for it. You'll enjoy it. Just temper your expectations. It doesn't break any new ground. If you like RPGs or fantasy RPGs to kind of mull you over until the next big thing, absolutely. It's as simple as that. It's good fun. I'm enjoying it.
I'm going to wrap it up by saying, you open this game up, and for me, go in 5-6 hours. I'm really enjoying it. I'm now 16 hours in, and I'm starting to see bits of it. But then it'll give you something really nice, whether it be a side mission thing or something like that. But just that veneer is kind of fading a little bit. But I think I need to stick with to say, look, there's going to be some more nice stuff, like cool little moments in this. I want to see, what it has to offer later in. And I think even on the map now, 16 hours in, I'm only looking at where I am on the map. I'm in a tiny bit of the map. However, we'll say one thing about the map before we go and end this podcast. Slightly deceptive. So you look at that map, and on the surface, it gives you a slight impression of, you can go everywhere. But you'll notice on the map there is a lot of mountain. And that mountain is inaccessible, essentially. And it was very easy for me to find the edge of the whole map on this game as well, just by, going to the corner of some of these places, because you get bounded out from moving somewhere, even when the map shows that you're nowhere near the edge of the map on the map. So how big this game actually is in size as to what the map shows, I'm not 100% sure. I've got a feeling there's a bit of trickery there,
Kind of makes me wonder if the original scope of this game was bigger and they just kind of shrunk it to hit a deadline.
unless the map is kind of reserved for
Expansions.
where they might be doing expansions, perhaps.
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably that.
I'm sure we'll find out in due course. Well, I think that's us done and dusted, apart from a quick mention for those that are still listening and watching, that we do now have a Discord server that we are slowly building up. But if you did want to get an advanced preview of our hidden gem games that we've been tracking, I've started to pop them up there. So if you want to join the Discord community, feel free to join. But we've still got a bit of work to do with that. So.
And if you fancy something really weird, search Eternal Backlog on WhatsApp. And let us know.
Oh, we've got a WhatsApp community.
We've got a WhatsApp community with one post. So let us know if it's worth investing time.
There's so many different things to update now. I'm starting to.
I randomly stumbled across IGN, and I think they're the only gaming group there. So.
Oh, are they really?
I think so. So I was like, oh, screw it. Let me see what I can do. Hey, let us know. Let's get talking. What do you think of Avowed? Let us know in WhatsApp.
So we have to update the links, I think, on our general episodes. I think there's a few more to add on that list.
Yeah.
But anyway, that wraps it up. We're about to enjoy the start of our weekends. I know you've got a few hours more to work before you finish, but it's just gone 10 p.m. here. So we shall see you guys for the next podcast. We're not 100% sure of the date yet. I think we might be aligning. We know that definitely one of the episodes coming up, we're going to be doing a bit of split fiction. But we'll see when we'll let you know anyway on the socials when our next episode air date is. You may start to see us playing around with some different things. You may have already started to see us play around with some live streaming. I think we're very much in the camp of throwing a bit of spaghetti at the wall at the moment and seeing what sticks. So, yes, some interesting moments happening with the channel at the moment. Anyway, guys, I've been Nomad.
And I've been Shady Armic.
And we shall see you guys at the next episode. Ciao for now.